Alrighty, welcome everyone to our August 25th edition of This Week in Crypto. I'm your host, Brian. Our great founder at Santiment, Maxim, will be with us in about 10-ish minutes or so, and we'll be talking together about what we have seen over the past week according to our top indicators here. In the meantime, we can definitely dive into what's been going on the social volume end, overall price end, and several other metrics that I like to kick things off with in the meantime. Let's look at the screener here to begin. And we've got, overall a picture that continues to look slightly disappointing for crypto. Obviously, last week was the big drop. We had that plummet from that 29K low, maybe high 28K, down to temporarily below 26K, and it currently sits at about $26,065 at the time of this video. That was interesting. It just switched to the watch list despite me not clicking anything. But yeah, we can see that Bitcoin did drop another 0.55% or so. Ethereum just about flat at minus 0.12%. Excuse me, that was just the past day. So yeah, minus 0.37% and 0.97% respectively, I should say. And you can see the majority of the assets did continue to drop. You can see Matic dropped another 5.3%. Avalanche, one of the biggest droppers, at minus 7.6. Uniswap minus 7.4. Maker minus 8.5. These are pretty big drops across many assets in the top 100 here, and it has to be a bit concerning that we did not see a better recovery after last week's drop. We had signs of maybe a potential dip buy opportunity and things were creeping up, but the next thing we knew, things just continued to drop back down, and now we're in this spot where we're really going to see sentiment be tested right now, and traders are showing impatience for sure, and a lot of FUD signs. FUD signs are a good sign overall. So we will look more into the social volume and some of the funding rates going on, even whale behavior, to really get a full picture of what's going on and whether we can recover quickly. One of the exceptions that did okay, XRP is climbing. It's still sitting above 50 cents at 0.51 after a 3.1% week. Raptron and Tron did okay. Toncoin, Bitcoin Cash, Stellar. So yeah, there were plenty of exceptions. I see Optimism and Near also doing pretty well. And then going down to social volume, Bitcoin actually is being talked about slightly more than it did last week during its bloodbath, which is actually an encouraging sign. We don't just see people dropping off of their social volume and discussion rates for Bitcoin and Ethereum like one may expect. And when social volume is continuing to increase while prices are low, polarization is continuing to be prevalent. People continue to discuss whether crypto can recover. There's not disinterest, right? And if there is disinterest, we might start to get a little worried. But polarization and strong opinions about crypto are usually a good thing for crypto in the long run. And it's kind of a mixed bag. You can see plenty of assets with less and plenty of assets with more social volume compared to last week. So we'll move on and start looking at some of the metrics right now. And as I said, Maxim should be with us soon, and we'll talk all together. So looking at the last 6 months of transaction volume, let's see what we're looking at here. It's looking like a continued decline, right? If I draw a line from 2 months ago up until now, yeah, it's pretty clear that there is a little bit of a drop off going on. Nothing hugely significant, but certainly less on-chain transaction volume than there was just prior to the huge surge that happened due to the ETFs that were announced back in the mid part of June. And then looking at daily active addresses and circulation, it's pretty flat on the unique address side, not a significant amount more unique Bitcoin interacting on the network in terms of coins or in terms of unique addresses. So in terms of utility, combining what we're looking at here with transaction volume, active addresses, and circulation, it's pretty flat. There's not a huge decrease, not a huge increase. I'm still a little worried about the low amount of transaction volume. We know that the amount of circulation compared to the market cap is still looking worrisome, to say the least. But yeah, as far as like seeing that big pickup of utility and overall usage of Bitcoin, the kind of thing that really allows crypto to grow in market cap, it's not quite there yet. So we're kind of sitting by. It doesn't mean prices are going to drop, but we're not seeing that big bullish signal either. MVRV ratio, yeah, it looks like it's still down on the 30-day scale. That's a good thing. Minus 6.8% for 30-day traders. Any addresses that have been active on the BTC network over the past 30 days, they are down 6.8%. Meanwhile, on the 365-day scale, active traders in the past year are up 5.6%. Overall, good thing that we are down. If the MVRV 365-day starts to creep down just a little bit more, then we're really starting to get into a buy zone if they're both in the negative. The last time we saw that happen was that second week of March. And obviously, if we could go back in time and buy a bunch of Bitcoin right here when it was at 19K or so, and the MVRVs are pointing to both 30 and 365-day traders being underwater, that's the ideal kind of setup that we would want to look for. So not quite there yet, 365 days still positive, but getting eerily close to that negative mark, which would be a good signal for us. In terms of funding rate, we did see, and we reported on this, we saw a big spike in negative funding rate after the crash happened. You can see people trying to ride down prices, and obviously as soon as this huge short spike occurred, that's when prices flattened out. They actually attempted to recover, and then they kind of fell back down. Now that it's flat, we're kind of waiting. We still see a little bit of red there, but that's nothing outside of normal. If you start seeing something like this once again, that's a good sign that traders are getting greedy toward prices falling, and they want to see prices continue to drop, which would mean there's a much likelier chance of prices actually rebounding and rising. Funding rates are basically an indication whether markets are getting overbought or underbought, and whether traders are leveraging extra money just to bet against or bet for the markets. They were leveraging extra money to bet against. It actually kind of neutralized out over the past few days, but I still wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing some more shorts form. I think it's a really important metric to look at as you're analyzing markets over this upcoming week. See if there starts to be some more red, not just for Bitcoin, but any of your favorite assets. There are hundreds of assets that have funding rate data for either BitMEX, Binance, DYDX, or Deribit. And keep in mind that another red spike would be a good indication that traders are showing a little too much FUD, and with FUD often comes prices rebounding and rising. Whale transactions, we can see that the 100K plus transactions on Bitcoin have fallen back down. We're still seeing around 6,500 to 7,000, 100,000 plus transactions per day. Meanwhile, on the 1 million plus side, it's looking even lower, a much more significant drop off between mid-June and now. We're seeing about 1,046 whale transactions in the last full day on the 24th. Overall, though, this is around the lowest we've seen all year for whales. Not necessarily a bad thing, but it does indicate that there is a bit of hesitance on the large key stakeholders end to make a big bet, to really go for a huge accumulation right now when there's so much uncertainty in the markets. You know, a lot of people are pointing to, I'll actually bring this up really quick. We'll look at what the correlation is between Bitcoin, the S&P, and even gold. And we're actually seeing, you know, the China real estate market, there was a big collapse, as many of you know. The economy over there is struggling, and yes, it may not be relevant to you if you don't live in China, but just like when the US markets collapse, China is a big enough entity that it's going to have some ripple effects on the rest of the world. And a lot of people are attributing these last few weeks of falling of the S&P 500 to what's going on in China. We can see gold fell, and obviously crypto fell too, but it does appear that, you know, when there is some positive news related to the China situation, it could have some positive effects on all of these markets as well. So we have to be aware that, you know, the correlation is going to be pretty tight with the S&P 500 while there's a real world economic concern, just like we saw throughout 2022 with the FOMC and the interest rate hikes and
Brian, Brian, hi. Which color is S&P? Because I think green is Bitcoin, right?
Yes, green is Bitcoin.
And S&P?
Teal is the S&P, the blue right here.
And Ethereum. Ethereum is hidden. Okay.
Ethereum is this darker green.
Dark green. Okay. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Good. Okay. Good.
Yeah. So, you know, obviously it's great to have you here, Maxim, and I'm curious too what you think about the China situation. Some speculate it does have some effect on crypto right now. What do you think?
Indirect through just general stock market?
Yeah.
Definitely, correlation is there. Causation is always challenging to do an honest answer, but correlation, it will never move away in the sense that bad economic situation leads to some specific monetary decisions which market will start pricing in both in stocks and in crypto, and they will. For sometimes they will stay correlated. Just there will be time, like we've seen before, if we have our own crypto topics, regulations or scandals. Scandals less. Regulations or big collapses, and bit of TWIC or sometimes even around curve, and then suddenly market start to react intensively. It can be decoupled for some time from stock markets, but then it will catch up. As the stock market will catch up with crypto and also will follow, because it's a general trend of contraction of economy activity, which just shows itself through different facts. Or the crypto market, after it's oversold because of overreaction to this crypto specific events, it also rallies back, which we've seen quite a few times. And I think, you see at the beginning of your chart. Yeah, it's March of 23. Oh, yes. In that time, Bitcoin, together with gold, they grew very much, much stronger than S&P. Anyway, they will be correlated, just sometimes more, sometimes less.
Right. Yeah, I think because there's an economic crisis going on, may not be directly here in North America or even in Europe, but because there is one in one of the largest economies in the world, it's naturally going to have a bit of a magnet to it, regardless of what sector you're looking at. And I think the S&P and gold, they're both impacted. I've even heard there's whenever there's a purchase with housing right now in China, they're giving away like actual gold bars along with them, and it has something to do with maintaining the value of sinking markets by offering some finite valued monetary incentive. And I just read about this last night, but they're really having trouble keeping housing values up. And so gold is kind of an incentive to actually get people to buy and sell right now when the prices can't be agreed upon from the buyer and seller. So I wouldn't be surprised if gold has some pretty interesting volatility over the next few weeks in particular. All right, another thing I wanted to look at with you, Maxim, is the ratio of transactions in volume in profit to loss. So we've seen a lot of negative spikes lately where clearly for about 2.5 weeks now, even prior to the drop, we have seen mostly transactions that are in the negative, or showing that traders are moving assets when they are already at a loss, rather than, you know, the alternative where a lot of traders were moving way in profit, like we saw in early July following the big ETF boom in late June. So now that we're here, we have to be optimistic about the fact that for going on 17, 18 days now, traders are mostly moving outside of this one XRP spike right here. They're mostly trading at a loss. And historically, when we see a lot of that, it is an indication that we might soon see a rebound. This isn't the most extreme one in the world, at least for Bitcoin, though. This was the largest of the year. But for some of the other altcoins, you know, we've seen worse. I would say, though, for Bitcoin, when you see, Maxim, such a large amount of losses, sort of like what we see with realized profit loss, do you presume that this is going to be a positive sign, at least once on-chain activity picks up a little bit?
From narrative point of what you're saying, yes. I don't use this metric so much. I know you like it. I still I don't know. Haven't get used to it. And
that's fair.
But the approach, yes, of course. The more you see activity which can be attributed to pain or to dissatisfaction or giving up, yeah, especially spikes in it. It's a good sign. Good sign of potential reversal. It's just this metric. I remember it was built in such a way that for me, it was not 100% sure I can use it for that purpose, but to some degree, yes.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like many other metrics that we'll look at today, it's an indication that there's just a lot of trader pain. And when you see pain and losses accumulating, it's usually an indication that we are getting at least close to a temporary bottom. If this lines up well with like MVRV, for example, being very negative for both the 30-day and 365-day, like we were showing here, that would be a great sign that losses are kind of aligning in many different metrics. So the 30-day, as we said, it is low. The 365-day is still above 0% though. So I wouldn't be surprised if the 365-day starts to creep into negatives before we start to see some rising. All right, we touched on funding rate and whale transactions. We'll look at the tiers in just a moment. I wanted to get through a few other metrics here. Mean dollar invested age. The average age in which Bitcoin is sitting in its respective addresses now is at 607 days. That is an all-time high. Things continue to climb without a lot of flattening of the curve, right? Like something like this, even a minor one, is usually an indication that markets are starting to circulate a little bit better with less stagnant tokens. But right now, it's just continuing to climb. So we have to wait and kind of sit on our hands knowing that stagnant addresses are just getting more and more stagnant for the time being. And then I mentioned realized profit loss. It's about even right now. You can see some of the small blips on the negative side, lots of realized losses over the past 10, 11 days or so. Right now, though, it hasn't really gotten better. At least we can say that there aren't a lot of positive spikes right now. So not many realized profits that would indicate that we could be nearing a top. And then I reported on supply and exchanges just yesterday. Take a look at this graphic. The supply and exchanges is way down at 5.8%. You can see in this little blue area chart over here on the right. This is the lowest it has been since December 17th, or almost 6 years now. Certainly a significant drop, and something we could actually be pretty happy about, considering the less amount of Bitcoin on exchanges, the lower the likelihood there would be of a further big sell-off. There has to be, not always, but usually there has to be a good chunk of Bitcoin on exchanges in order to indicate that there would be a big drop off in price, because the price needs to be sold off, or at least, given away in big chunks for the crowd to buy, if you're talking about a big whale that's selling off. And then we can also see that the overall amount of whale transactions, or transactions that exceed $100,000 in value, we're now seeing about 57,400 a week. It's mostly staying steady right now. Obviously, it hasn't dropped off a cliff, but it's far from the big engagement that we saw way back in April and October of 2021, when we saw those all-time high levels. Oftentimes, this is a top indicator, though, so it isn't necessarily something you want to see get up high. Whale transactions, at least staying steady, can be a good sign. When they're really low, like we saw way back in early 2019, that can actually be a bottom signal too, though. All right, heading back to some of our metrics. So let's zoom in on social dominance for a minute. We see that Bitcoin's social dominance, it's had its moments. Just a couple of weeks ago, it was really spiking as the prices dropped down huge. This was even about 1 week ago, not a couple. And then dominance kind of just fell back to earth, and it stayed that way as traders are trying to find those speculative assets out there that they can buy the dip on and go for a bit more of a greedy recovery on, because obviously, getting into Pepe or Shiba or Doge, or some asset that may be a bit more speculative and crowd driven, those prices are going to recover more once the recovery finally happens in most cases. So some people may be trying to jump the gun, get in on them now, only to see more pain, right? Because altcoins, as we saw, they're continuing to bleed a little bit right now. And that's often the case when the crowd is a bit too optimistic about some of the more speculative assets recovering. It's usually when the crowd stops paying attention to them that we start seeing a large recovery from an altcoin that is a bit more volatile than Bitcoin. All right. As mentioned, let's take a look at the whale tiers now, one of our most popular metrics. So going back 6 months, we see a few things stand out. The 10 to 10,000 tier. So this is kind of the key shark and whale tiers of traders who really drive markets. They hold just about 2/3 of the overall supply of Bitcoin. And right now they're starting to show a little sign of accumulation after that drop. It's not a severe add-on to their assets by any means, but they are moving in the right direction. You can see ever since August 17th, after prices bottomed out, they did add back about 0.06% of the supply, which is certainly a large amount when you talk about how many hundreds of thousands of dollars that is. We actually posted about the absolute value on Twitter the other day. Let me see, I think it was right around here. Well, never mind. I can't seem to find, I probably skimmed right past it. But we'll look at the live look-in instead. Looking at the absolute merging 10 to 10,000. There we go. So it's here in brown. If I just hold down shift from August 17th until now, they've added about 15,415 Bitcoin just over the past week or so. If we type, let's see, 15,415 is what I said. Yes. So we multiply that by current price, 15,415 times 26,100 or so, which is the current price level. So they've accumulated about 402 million, $402.3 million worth of Bitcoin just over the past week. That's a significant amount and something that we should be paying attention to. It may not look like a ton on this chart, but when you see minor rises start here, it often comes with an eventual rise in price. And then naturally, you can really see just by highlighting this price against the price here to what the 10 to 10,000 sharks and whales are doing. There's a definite correlation. It's been fluctuating very close together, and they started dumping back on July 6th, all the way until prices reacted to it, and now they're accumulating again. So theoretically, if you can be patient for a couple of weeks and this trend continues, based on how much control this tier group has had, prices could be very probable to recover. And then similarly, looking at the top stablecoin in crypto, we see that Tether is starting to climb. The supply held by 100K to $10 million holders is starting to go up, but look at how much it's fallen since it looks like whales started to swap their Tether for Bitcoin back in mid-June, just prior to the ETFs taking the crypto markets by storm, and us hitting a 2023 high here just a little over a month ago. But Tether has come down a lot. There is a lot less buying power for the top asset or stable coin, I should say, in crypto. And then USD coin, it has come down a little bit, but I do like the overall long-term look. Since March, it has been accumulated pretty heavily. Binance USD also accumulated pretty heavily over the past 6 months. DAI, really going up fast. This is the best looking stable coin right now. Oftentimes DAI is associated with Ethereum and some altcoins, so keep that in mind. More DAI means a better chance of ETH recovering, at least in my opinion and from what I have seen. And then True USD and USDP, not so much. They've kind of come back down, especially True USD. So overall, the shark and whale picture indicates that there is a decent amount of buying power. I'd like to see Tether start to grow a little bit more and be a little more prevalent on this chart, but it's been falling for a while. And then Bitcoin going down. So I don't love the outlook right now. I think that sharks and whales are showing a lot of disinterest, as we saw from the low amount of whale transactions. But it remains to be seen what can happen next. And we touched on funding rates and social dominance as well. So with that said, let's take a look at some of the social trends now. We had a few hot topics that were coming up over the past week. Jerome Powell has actually popped up as the number one trend. I can also see that Trump and his mugshot is really dominating after Trump was officially arrested in Georgia yesterday. and he turned himself in. So why is Powell the top trending keyword in crypto? Well, according to our AI summary, the word Powell is currently trending due to the anticipation of Powell's upcoming speech. Many are eagerly awaiting his speech, which is scheduled for tomorrow. And I believe by tomorrow they mean today, because he's not going to be talking on a Saturday. Speculation about the impact his speech will have on the market, with some expecting a significant move. The timing of the speech, 7:05
He's talking now.
ET.
By the way, we see some reaction already.
Okay, very good. I was going to ask about that because I think this time may be incorrect, because that would be 4 a.m. my time. But yeah, it's happening as we speak, and we can expect that the S&P is going to have some big fluctuations and reactions. Just looking at the live crypto price, it doesn't look like it's moving a lot yet.
It has moved. It dived a little bit in spec, and now try to go slower, as always confused. I would prefer it actually to make a new low related to a few days ago, and then the recovery go up. So it would make a nice confusing move. And on some metrics, you see still demand a little bit more give up, if even bearish sentiment is obvious in many places. For instance, on Cointelegraph, there was on the main page, Bitcoin will go below 20,000. So I said, okay, good. It means it will not. But still, there is enough expectations, or not enough fear, maybe. And the price going down usually introduce fear. I would prefer going down, then recover, but we can go up from here too.
Right. Yeah, I think especially with this huge social dominance spike right now, it does look like this is a very, very important topic for crypto traders right now, and they are paying attention.
Yeah. Powell and Pepe is like kind of, and you see number 6 on trending words is Jackson, so it's where he speaks, Jackson Hole, and number 9 is Hole. So if you combine Powell, Jackson, and Hole, Powell or Jackson or Hole, you will see the real dominance, at least taken from top 10.
Yeah, let's see. When we combine all three, it's just even more of a crazy spike. And we really see how much these three topics together are driving markets and the interest.
Yeah. So there will be some, there is already volatility, it probably will be more.
Yeah, so they're trending due to what's called the Jackson Hole Symposium, where Powell is speaking. So this is all related to the event that's going on with Jackson's speech or with Powell's speech at the moment. So yeah, that's going to be a very important topic. And in terms of people looking for an immediate price decision, a lot is going to come down to how traders react to what he says. If he gets very negative about the economy, we may see an initial drop followed by a rise. If he gets very positive, we could see a big overreactive euphoric spike and then a drop. Yeah, especially on Twitter. Wow, all three, Reddit and Twitter in particular, even 4chan, they're all talking about this subject a lot right now. All right, we were going to talk about some other assets. Maxim, I was going to ask if you had any in mind that you've been kind of paying attention to right now, and ones we can look at more closely, and then maybe we can ask the audience if they have some ideas.
I look closely indeed. For me, Maker is a kind of proxy to the whole market, as it was one of the few assets where the patterns were very clean. And yeah, Maker, then someone suggested Solana is also good. Solana was oversold. And as the market catch up with the overall bear trend, Solana is not being sold so much anymore. It's been oversold for too long time. But it doesn't reveal the patterns. Yeah, Solana is a kind of a little bit outlier, and I would say that it's more that if market crashes more, maybe Solana will hold a bit better. Yeah, but Maker, and I don't know what metrics do you have? Scroll down.
Yeah, we can look at some of the main on-chains. We can see that there is a huge spike in circulation that happened yesterday.
So finally, at that point of time, people took it as a chance to probably take profits as relatively to the lows. And there have been many investors who believe that Maker with the DSR and the stuff they're doing might be interesting. So they took profit. This is a sign of fear. So they say, okay, I need to take profit now before it's too late. So I expect to probably continued growth pretty soon. Ideally, we go slightly below 1,000. Around 900 will be good area. But let's scroll a bit more.
That looks like MVRV 30-day is very negative right now.
Back to normal, yeah. Or normal for the sense if you want to consider to edit. And then futures, I don't look into it because I don't think anyone is really shorting Maker. But if you scroll down, I don't know, do you have...
there is a little bit of a short that has just popped up here on Binance. They don't come around often, but it's very small, yes.
Yeah, it's not so too famous.
Whale transactions pretty inactive. We do see the biggest $1 million plus spike though in about 3 weeks or so. So that's something.
Yeah, and if we go down, so this is interesting. So Maker is around 1,000. Maybe take everything, combine everything to up to 100.
Up to 100. Okay.
No, 100 is hundreds in dollars. So everything up to 0.1. So that will represent a really small. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, they don't feel concerned yet. And now take this two just to see how. Yeah, enough. Remove the last group. Yes, because it's a big one. So they are more cautious, and then you will see. I think one of the group select one by one. One of the next groups they actually move quite in line. This kind of, and then unit overlay price, and you will see that some of them are moving price as it always, or when they do something, price moves.
Oops, wrong one.
Wrong one, yeah.
There it is.
So increase.
Yeah, so it topped out about on August 14th or so, shortly after the orange line, the 100 to 1,000 started to take profit. So it looks pretty clear that the orange line here is some of the key stakeholders that really drive markets.
They can move, yeah, they can move. So if you see them increasing position again, that would be probably for me too, will be a strong sign. Waiting for it. So Maker, I like it. Then Gary found today, or you can also simple stuff like daily active addresses, divergences. This is also possible to apply. Usually I do anyway, like combination of metrics. Daily active addresses with some ideally bad news or sentiment around, and then growth in holding of impactful wallets, then you have good setup. And there was also actually one metric which made us to exit this position, not exactly on top, but not far enough, so I don't feel stressed by, or I don't feel unhappy with Maker. There was, I don't think you have it, or do you have it? Amount of deposits in daily active addresses. Yeah, it was, actually it's written, you can open, I think I wrote in size like 2 weeks ago, at the moment when we exited it, or 1 week ago, I don't remember.
Where am I looking?
Insights.
Oh, in the insights, got it.
Yes. Because there will be, I think, link to chart layout, I think. And then go down, or you look by my name. I hope I attached my working chart layout. Yes.
Is it this one?
Yes. So did I attach chart layout at the end somewhere? By the way, everyone who's yes, exactly. So these metrics I like a lot for assets which are coming from bear market, we will all been in bear market. So there've been people who accumulated or who've been long enough suffering, and then the price starts growing. You need to see a few things. Wall of worry first went through it. You see the spikes, they start realizing or moving to exchanges, and then the lack of worries. Even price going high, but they get relaxed. So this was a setup. I say, okay, we're leaving the position. And actually, when I posted, this is where we left. But go down. I think there is a chart layout where I put everything together.
Aha, right here.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So if you scroll down a little bit somewhere, there will be MVRV. Yeah. This
Deposit
one.
Deposit transactions.
Exactly. So you don't do it. I think you don't use it so much yet.
Yeah, I should use it more. I really like this metric.
Yeah. What is here visible? There was at least a spike. You see, when we were leaving position, there was this price growing up, and this yellow line deposits related to daily TFI, this is going down. So I don't like it, or I didn't like it at the time. It means I really got like super relaxed, which is not the time. You should, and the price actually went down. So you took, I think you see on 6 months, or what is this, or 1 year? If you take
This
for 3 months.
6 months, yeah.
Yeah, if it takes 3 months, it will be even more obvious. Yes. Okay, you see this divergence? Price pushing up and then going down actually should scare you. No, go down more and like trying to recover till the 10th of August. No one really gets scared. They just say, okay, whatever, we will recover. Now, the behavior changed on 18th of August when it went down. Say, okay, now it's time to act. So it's good. It's a good first sign. And I really recommend this metric is good, and you will not find it anywhere else too. And this deposit in the EA is just simple formula. If you click on a button, you'll see it. I mean, for yourself, it's a really simple one. And then you see these spikes. Good. Yeah, it's simply cannot be more simple. Yeah. Still, this is power of sentiment plot. You can combine metrics and make formulas of it.
Right.
Much more relevant to cryptos than typical, I don't know what people do, just moving averages or smooth moving averages. It is not without a value, but you need to apply metrics which reveal behavior or reveal what people feel when they act or don't act on a specific asset. And this is one of them. So you've seen the spikes with price going down, good. So they incentivize, or let's say they panic a little bit. And now when you want to see when the big players start buying. They will probably buy a bit earlier. They usually buy a bit earlier. So typically, if there is a setup, big players, I see increase of balances, but no bad news yet. Or there are some other reasons believe we still might go low. I could wait, but not much. They are wrong, but on this scale of trend, they will probably be wrong by 3 or 5 days. Not so much wrong. Yeah. So I hope you could follow me.
Yeah.
In a sense of maker, this what could tell the way of thinking. And I do believe it's much better to share with people or share experience in the way of thinking rather than say, okay, buy this or sell this. This is kind of garbage because you cannot do it yourself then. But the way of thinking and give access to data and learn from others how they do it, this is the best way, in my opinion. And there was another Gary found very interesting example. I think he shared in our internal Discord group. Did you see it? Some token
I did, yeah. I'll pull up that chart.
Yes, that was an interesting example. I'm not into memecoins. If even I think if I would be active trader nowadays, I would be into memecoins. Yeah, they're really volatile and show almost perfect patterns. Just look at this bitch. And back when I was active, it was 16, 17 at that time. It was only Bitcoin. I remember Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Monero. I never even speculated in Monero, but it was interesting to analyze. Nowadays, you have so many, and meme coins, it's quite cool. This bone, right, swap, whatever it is. Also, it's difficult to see now because of this huge spikes of trading volume. And if you scroll down, it's everywhere. Social volume, network growth. It looks like it's something happened. And the beauty is, I don't even know what happens there, yeah? But you see the data and you know, okay, there must be something going on. which after the period of quite strong growth, you see first the price growth for a long time, and there've been typical divergences close to top everywhere: age consumed, daily active addresses, trading volume, social. You take the metric, it was showing clear patterns of divergence. It's just because these meme coins, they're so active, at least in community and token, and I don't know, small players. If you take later on by balance, or any one of you take balances by wallets, you will see, wow, so different behavior of small and big hodlers. And then it shows very good patterns. Yeah, you need hundreds of people participating, just 1 to 5 big players. No, you need a lot of people. And this last movements, they show very interesting, again, change of attitude. I mean, you see so strong moves. And one of our team says, okay, it looks like a top. I don't know yet, but at least it was to investigating more. It's very interesting as practicing. So whoever now on the stream, we can share this chat layout and just practice, or you can write in comments to stream or go to our Discord. Actually, I would be interested. I need to spend, if I have time, more on it, but it shows very nice, beautiful, strong patterns of growing attention, then declining, and then eclipsing it to the new highs. Yeah, on the way down, you see so much activity. So
yeah, it's really interesting to see these dual spikes going on around the 16th and just yesterday on the 24th, and it's almost every single metric: whale transactions, network realized profit loss, age consumed, social, even social dominance,
everything.
And prices kind of just switch directions whenever you see these spikes in meme coins, because they're so fragile. I like to look at them because the market caps are so much smaller.
Can turn, yes, sentiment can turn like very fast to opposite direction. And if you're into trading and you want to practice your skills, yeah, go for meme coins. This is where you can do it. Probably don't. Well, as a next step, I would probably not necessarily recommend to put your money, but you can do it small amounts too. But maybe you can go to Sana platform to leave a signal. Maybe you can even earn some rewards if it's not so simple lately. There are a lot of good players still.
Right. If you're going to be in meme coins, make sure that prices and markets are stable. If Bitcoin is falling and you're in a meme coin, watch out. But if Bitcoin's actually growing, then maybe you can have some fun with them and maybe even get profit.
Or when it's ranging. If you see Bitcoin ranging for 3-4 days, you bet people will move to meme coins back. It's this spirit of looking for excitement of trading, or let's say gambling. I would go as far as putting psychology close to gambling. It gets very strong when there is nothing on major coins. You just move there. And you ask for 3 coins. Here they are. One from me, Maker, and another from our team member, from Gary. It's like Bone. I found it interesting too.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a great find. And it's actually in the top 100 now, ranked number 94.
By all means, my gosh, I didn't hear about, but I mean, nowadays there are quite a few coins you don't hear about them.
Yeah. Pepe, number 89. I'm just looking at a few of the other rankings. Let's see what our good friend Obama, Harry Potter Obama, Shiba Inu is. That's still in the 241st position. And then obviously Shiba and Doge are both going to be in the top 15 or so. Or Shiba's actually outside the top 15 now at number 16. And then Doge, way up at number 8. So quite a few options out there, really, especially Doge. You can see how much it's fallen off since late July. Just about 1 month, it's down 24%. I think I heard another asset, but maybe we can ask chat, Max, if you see any recommendations. We can look at it for the last 10 minutes or so.
We had a question about Solana. Daniel was asking about the Elliott wave counts of Maxim.
Yes, I'm writing something. I need to prepare. I do have counts for everything I'm tracking out of habit. I don't know what, and I like. It's interesting. If actually yes, the person who asked is so. Daniel Mata constantly on stream, maybe as a reward. I will next time I prepare for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and whatever coin, and maybe Maker. Yeah, we can look in Elliott waves, and I will try to combine them with on-chain social metrics because I do combine them. But Elliott waves itself, I keep on TradingView, and the rest of metrics I keep on our platform. We'll see how it works. Maybe I put some text. We can put text on. Sunbase too. Yeah, maybe it's the way. I put numbers text on Sunbase so we don't jump between one platform and another, and then we'll look into very interesting metrics indeed. Yeah, but next time it's better to be prepared talking about it ways. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in the meantime, we can look at what's going on with Solana, and we do see that trading volume is pretty much at a low point, or the lowest it's been in a couple months now. Back at about 300 to 320,000 or 300 to 320 million in volume per day right now. Keep in mind that Solana is not an ERC20 and we don't have full metrics on it, but we do have a few key things we can look at. For example, we do see that there's a little bit of shorting going on right now. We see these, if you want to compare, we have seen similar shorts back here. This was, of course, before the huge surge due to all the ETFs. So this is a bit misleading, but obviously the shorts got liquidated here and prices rose. Shorts overwhelmingly got liquidated back here and prices rose. If you were shorting after this plummet back in mid-June, you really were in a lot of pain as prices really just rose up quickly over the next month. So now here we are again. And historically, when you see these big shorts, it's actually a good sign that we might be nearing a bottom. So I like the look of this, considering there's so much shorting going on Binance at the moment. It is an indication that we may see a rise in the near future, assuming that Bitcoin and Ethereum and some of our other top assets begin to get healthy enough for stability right now. And then on the social side, yeah, we do see that there has been a rise lately in social dominance. The percentage of discussions is up to about 1.5% for Solana again, after being way below at well under 1% for a lot of early August. So it's crept up now, probably due to the big decline. I can see why it's a topic of interest, because it's dropped about 29% over the past 6 weeks or so. That's pretty significant. So I'm watching for social dominance to maybe go up even a little bit more. A big social dominance spike for Solana, which is a more speculative asset, would indicate that we might be seeing a turnaround, because the social dominance spike would likely be due to a lot of FUD going on and people doubting the asset. And obviously, due to that social volume spike, we're seeing that weighted sentiment, which is finally starting to be a viable metric again after the Twitter changes from about 3 months ago. Social sentiment, or weighted sentiment, has gone way up into the positive range, but I think that's more so just due to the social dominance being very high right now. And then development activity is pretty neutral. For a while, we were seeing Solana as a top 10 dev activity asset, but that's not the case anymore. Doesn't necessarily mean the team has stopped working on it, because they're still putting up 30, 31 development activity submissions per day on their GitHub. And while I'm thinking about development activity, I just want to briefly look at the top 10 assets right now and what's going on there. So we can take a quick look. Let it load from highest to lowest. I have to click it twice. while it's loading, we can also look at the MVRV model, which is showing that there's still a ton of underbought assets near the opportunity zone. None are actually above the dashed line, which would indicate it's a top 5% best opportunity. But you could see before it did its refresh, there were quite a few assets that are showing severe underbought signals at the moment, which do indicate there are some opportunities out there. Something weird is going on with our screener. I'm not sure what happened. Well, just for time's sake, so we don't have to wait for it to load again. Yeah, it's so weird. There we go. So Cardano, Polkadot, Kusama. It is significant that Cardano surpassed Polkadot and Kusama. For those who remember, for almost the entirety of 2023, we were seeing the shared GitHub of Polkadot and Kusama as the top, tied for first asset in terms of development activity. Cardano has come back and taken the lead once again with about 555 notable GitHub submissions per day. Right below it, we can see Hedera, Chainlink, Status, Internet Computer, Cosmos, Vega Protocol, and Aptos, to name a few others. So certainly not an indication that these are the best 10 assets to invest in or anything, but what it means is that if you are holding one of these or thinking about adding to a position in one of them, this is kind of a justification to do so, because you have a team that is dedicated and committed to innovating and improving not just their asset, but crypto in general. And it's not a coincidence that most of these market cap ranks are top 100s, if not even top 50s, because the cream tends to rise to the top, and you see a lot of assets that are constantly being worked on, getting more investors and more trust from the community. So I really like this development activity metric, and we'll close with it. I think it's something we'll think about going into the weekend. As for metrics to watch, pay attention to Bitcoin whales. As usual, I think they're really going to signal a turnaround. And of course, the other one on the short-term end is exactly how this Powell discussion concludes, and what's going to be going on in terms of the Fed's decisions and their monetary policy going forward. So on behalf of Maxim and Max, who ran our live stream today, I want to thank you both for being here with me. Looking forward to an amazing September. We'll kick off September next week discussing whether markets have started to improve a little bit, and we'll keep you posted with plenty more posts on Santiment, and check out our insights page in the meantime. Don't forget, you can also use our referral links at any time to create one for yourself by going to your account settings and generating one. And you can actually get some nice recurring commission for referring people to Santiment. So thank you all so much for being here with us, watching our live streams as usual, and stay safe and warm. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks so much, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. Talk to you next week.
Thanks, Max. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.